Season 2, Episode 11, Judge, Jury, Executioner.
Yeah, you're right. There's no and. Yeah, it's just Judge, Jury, Executioner. So, okay. So this episode begins with Daryl in what apparently is the slaughter shed of the farm where they have Randall captive. Like, I didn't know that was a slaughter shed, but I guess that's like a metaphor for like, you know, how they're going to slaughter him.
Right.
Like, that's kind of the plan, which is interesting. So Daryl's beating him and asking questions about his group.
Kind of interrogating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you brought this up, like, while we were watching, like, they don't do a very good job, like, Daryl interrogates him.
And they barely, like, check on him.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
because he's able to just, like, wriggle out of his handcuffs.
Like, he's, like, trying to get out. Is this how, like, Rick and Shane were sheriffs before? Like, that doesn't seem very good. And
it's like, wow, that's, I don't think they were the best at their job.
Like, if Daryl and Shane were, like, trained in this, why aren't they doing any of this?
Yeah.
Why is it just, Daryl? Like,
and, like, a little bit of Shane later, but, like, it's basically, like, no, it's, Rick and Shane may not have been great sheriff's deputies, because based on this, they really don't seem to be, like, keeping a close eye on an extremely dangerous prisoner who they can't risk escaping.
Yeah.
And, like, is pretty sneaky, you know? Like, when they took him out in the previous episode, like, he tried to get away, and, like, he was pretty crafty and sneaky, and it's like, you know, you guys should really be keeping, like, keeping a close eye on him. Like, just have somebody, like, have one of you guys in there at all times watching him. But, so, Daryl's interrogating him, and, basically, Daryl's, like, just asking about the group, of douchebags that Randall's a part of, and Randall's like, well, we have, like, women and children, like your group, but we have a bunch of men, and when we go out at night, we just like to rape everybody we can find, and we just like to be really sadistic about it, and we just like to rape, and we're just a bunch of monsters and crazy bastards, but I'm not like that, I swear. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, he's barely, like, Daryl is barely, like, I mean, yeah, he's beating him, but, like, he didn't really, like, pry much of this, like, damning information out.
Like, Randall just kind of willingly
it's like,
gave.
Yeah, because he's like, we found, like, this, like, man and his daughters, and, you know, we just, like, gang raped them, and, you know, and it's like, geez, is this, like, the tip of the iceberg? Like, if this is the stuff that he's just, like, spilling his guts out about, like, basically at the drop of a hat, there's probably worse stuff that he's not saying. It's like, I just find it a bit ridiculous, because, I mean, come on, like, he's like, giving you guys all the reason in the world why you just need to kill him.
Right, if they didn't think that, like, they had enough before to justify it, like, this should be enough that, like, he's a terrible, terrible person.
Yeah, oh, and, like, and he was, like, saying, like, I mean, okay, because he said, he said he didn't participate in the rapes, but, yeah, he clearly did, because he was saying, like, how cute, like, the girls were, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like, it's really obvious. I mean, I think Daryl knows that, but it's, like, it's really obvious that he's, you know, like...
You know what they should have done?
What?
They should have sent Dale in there to hear all the shit that this guy is saying.
Yeah.
Since Dale's, like, so gung-ho about, like, we shouldn't kill him.
And they, like, no, I think, like, you know, like, when they're having the group deliberation about what to do with him later, I mean, they should have, like, brought him before, like, at least some of them, or everybody, and basically just, because, I mean, I think his own testimony would, like, pretty much convince anyone who wasn't convinced, like, we can't, like, come on, like, we can't risk this guy getting away and bringing his group back.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, come on. Like, no matter how, like, gentle you want to be, it's just, like, come on. That's ridiculous. And, I think having him... only, like, maybe Dale's too thick-headed, but, like, I mean, maybe, like, you know, it's like, I think that could only help the cause if we need to execute him.
Right. Well, because, like, pretty much everyone is on board with him being executed.
Right. No one's, like,
Dale.
Yeah, except for Dale, like, no one's really, you know, like, yeah, I mean, some of them are kind of like, you know, I mean, I don't want to, but I think we have to, kind of a thing. Right. Yeah. No, and yeah.
And, like, Dale's just trying to use his, like, what I like to call his old man logic, where he just thinks that he knows the right answers about everything all the time, and everyone else is wrong. And even, like, when they take the group vote, and everyone is saying, yes, we should execute him, he's like, you're all wrong, and he gets really upset and all butthurt about it and storms off. Yeah. But Dale basically spends this entire episode going to different people and trying to convince them to be on his side, and no one really is, like, budging. Like, Shane is like, okay, like, if you can get everyone else, but Andrea, she, like, kind of sides with him, but I think it's more out of, like, pity. I don't think she really...
Right. She doesn't... Agrees. Yeah, she's just, like, trying to... Because she cares about Dale. But, like, oh, no, but she's... Yeah, she doesn't... I don't think she really agrees. Yeah, she's mostly just doing it for him.
Yeah.
Also, she probably is like, well, everybody else is still gonna do it, so, like, it doesn't really... Like, you know, like, it doesn't really matter if I dissent, because, like...
Yeah.
It's like, this really a win-win for me. I don't lose anything by... Yeah. Okay, so... Because, okay, Dale originally, like, when Daryl comes out of the slaughter shed and, like, explains in broad strokes to everyone, like, what he found out, and then Rick is essentially like, yeah, we'll just have to execute him, and then Dale's like, but this is a young man's life. We can't, we can't do this without having a discussion.
And it's like, he calls him a kid, right? And
yeah, like, I think so. Yeah, and it's 18. Like he's probably 20 at least. Yeah. Oh no, That's That's one of the many things that Dale is wrong about. Where it's like, okay, but Dale, I mean, do you really not understand that, like, people over the age of 18 like get executed if they commit heinous crime? Like, I don't. Like, he's acting like that's... Yeah, because Dale keeps being like, oh no, like, if we kill him, then civilization is gone. Like, the old world is gone. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, but the old... Like, I don't think he really understands what the old world, like, how it functioned. Because he's acting like, you know, it's Denmark or something where, like, no one ever gets executed for anything. You know, like, it's like, well, are you saying that, like, the civilization that you are so dead set on keeping, like, was never valid, or what? I mean, yeah, it's just a bit strange. And, okay, so, because, okay, it is correct, ethically speaking, to, like, yes, you should question whether it's right to execute him, and you should have a discussion about it, and, like, you should make sure that that's the right thing to do, but everything after that point that Dale advocates is completely wrong. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, he doesn't want, like, he doesn't care what anyone else thinks. He doesn't care about, like, the consensus. If this was, like, a jury on a death penalty case, like, he'd just be, like, holding out forever, trying to get a hung jury or something. He just, like, he doesn't actually care what anyone else, like, he says he wants a discussion, and he says that he wants, like, consensus, but he doesn't actually, like, that, everything he does is just, like, a manipulation and, like, bullshit trying to just get his way.
Because he has old man.
Yeah, like, because he thinks he's so smart and so wise and so ethical. And
the right thing all the time.
Yeah, and basically he's just trying to, like, manipulate or, like, shame everybody else into doing what he wants, and then when it doesn't work, he throws a tantrum and, like, runs away. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh my god, like, this is your old man wisdom? It's like making faces and just throwing a tantrum when you... I mean, yeah, because it's like, okay, I mean, like, really, like, if this was just the old world and it was just a jury trial, like that's basically what he says he wants. Except not really. Like, if it doesn't go his way.
Yeah.
If everyone else disagrees, then, yeah. He's just... Dale's ridiculous, and I think this is... No, I'm just so torn between whether him, like, trying to destroy the group's guns or trying to basically give Randall an opportunity to run away and come back and murder and rape everybody is worse. I guess the Randall thing, but like they're both so reprehensible.
They are, yeah.
Like I just find him like so, like he's putting everyone in such terrible danger
again and again and
just
again.
just for his weird like pride, I guess.
So one issue that I have, especially in like the later half of the second season, is that Carl seems to be doing whatever the hell he wants at any point. He never seems to have anyone watching him. Like when Lori was in the car accident and like Rick and Glenn and Herschel were in town and all of that. Like, where was Carl during all of that? No one knows.
Yeah.
He just, like, even when people tell him, like, oh, go do this, he just does whatever he wants. He doesn't listen. And this is seen when he goes to the slaughter shed, and he, like, sneaks in, and he's talking to Randall, the prisoner, and, like, Shane catches him.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, again, who was watching Carl? Where was Carl supposed to be? Why does he never listen? Why is no one ever watching him? He is still a kid, even though Dale says that Randall's a kid and he's not. Carl is still a kid and does need to be watched.
Is he like 10? How old? Like
I think 10. I think that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like really they need to like be like really strict and like assign somebody to watch him, and like they could find a child leash somewhere, like one of those harness things, like really like yeah, because it's like okay, he keeps running away. Like
he's not
so
like,
clearly you
right.
need to like carefully watch him, like because they're like oh like Jimmy or whoever is watching him, and it's like okay, but he keeps slipping away. It's been like 5 times now.
Right, he's not.
How many times does this have to happen before like it's just keep an eye on him at all times?
Yeah, he's not like running away from the group like he's trying to run away from home. He just keeps on getting out and doing stuff and like being places that he's not supposed to be. It's just so frustrating.
Oh yeah, no, it's silly, yeah.
And then later Carl is over by Sophia's grave, and Carol's like mourning her daughter, and she's like, well, Sophia's in a better place, and Carl's like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
And makes Carol cry, and Rick is like, I'll go talk to him. And then he's like, she just lost her daughter, even though it was like
there's a little lot, yeah, probably 3 weeks.
Ago. I mean,
yeah, something
not saying
like
her
that.
grieving should be over, but
sure.
she didn't just lose her daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to make this better. You need to apologize to her. He's like, don't talk, listen.
Think.
Or don't think.
Think.
Don't think. Listen.
No, don't talk, think.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah. He's like, Dad, I'm confused.
What am I supposed to do, Dad? Don't talk. Think. That. Okay.
He's like, good advice for life. Yeah.
Don't talk. He says it like over and over and over. Like,
yeah.
And so it like zooms out and it just shows like Carl and Rick under a tree, which to me is like a big parallel to later season 10. Is that?
Season 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I was off.
Oh no, that's okay.
So season 8 and like with the Negan stuff, if you haven't seen it, like you'll eventually see this, but like there's this very iconic kind of shot under a tree, and Carl isn't there, but Rick's like remembering Carl as a child and all the fun things he did in the like before world, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it just seems very much like to parallel with this now, which I have like there is no part of me that believes that the writers intended to do that. Like they did have the comics to kind of help them like guide where the story was going, but I don't think they had those like that.
No, I don't think it was written at that point.
No, I don't think any of that was written. So it's more of like a coincidence, but it does very much. Cool. Yeah. It parallels like the image and like the sentiment going on at the time.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting catch. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So just a minor point, but I think Daryl has like been using Merle's motorcycle since Merle disappeared. And I just think if the show were being made today, they would probably censor the SS runes on Merle's bike, because, like, there's an SS symbol on there, which, I mean, you know, I don't think it was, like, I don't know if anyone got offended by it back then, but I think today everyone would be kind of freaked out by it, and that's just a minor point, but...
So, Carl finds a gun on the bike, right? That's where he gets...
he goes over to Daryl's stuff and, like, finds a gun.
Surprise, no one is watching him. Yeah. He goes over to Daryl's stuff, finds a gun, and he decides to wander off, and he finds a walker. I think this is the same swamp as earlier, like...
Yeah, it's like a stream / swamp. Yeah,
like Jimmy ran in and he was like, it happened again. And that's when Rick went and tried to get the walker with like the dog catcher. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the same area. There's a walker caught in the mud. And Carl, he's all like, oh, I'm going to be a man. I'm going to shoot this walker. I'm going to kill it. Like, this is my time. And then totally just like chickens out. And so he's holding the gun and he just keeps getting closer and closer. It's like, stop getting closer. If you want to kill it, just like... shoot it or something. He did try to throw rocks at it, which we've talked about how that could possibly work, but he's probably not strong enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop getting closer. Like, that's how it's gonna bite you or scratch you if scratches do anything. Mm-hmm. Just shoot it. Just do it. If you want to be a man, just do it. And if you're not ready for that, that's fine, but stop doing this BS.
Like, I don't know why getting closer to it, like, why was he... Like, I'm just, like, why was that, why did that seem like a good idea, I guess? Why did that, like,
it doesn't
make him more comfortable, like, getting closer to it?
Maybe because like, he thought that, like,
oh no, go ahead.
He wouldn't miss if he was closer.
I guess. I mean, I guess maybe he was trying to, like, be brave? I don't know. By, like, getting really close to it?
I guess.
But, so he's, like... So then Carl's, like, he gets too close, of course, and then, like, it kind of, like, slides free, like, its foot gets a little bit free, yeah. And then it manages to, like, knock the gun out of his hand and, like, kind of get a hold of him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then he, like, falls over, and he's like, oh my god, and then he kind of tries to get the gun back, but, like, can't, and then he just kind of runs away.
Off.
Yeah. Let's see. So, okay, so, yeah, like, as you said, like, oh, no, actually, that's not okay. So Herschel and Glenn, like, are having a conversation in the house, and they're having, like, a good heart-to-heart.
And part of this, like, part of why we laugh is because Glenn... Herschel keeps calling Glenn the Asian boy.
Yeah.
And so then he asks him, like, where he's from, and Glenn's like... Michigan.
Oh, you mean Korea? He's right. Like, oh, before that, Korea.
But, before that, Korea. and he, like, has this whole talk about, like, no one, like, when you're a dad, no one's ever good enough for your daughter, and you'll see one day when you're a dad. And it's just so heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And so heartbreaking because he never gets to meet his son.
Yeah. No, it's sad, yeah.
Poor
yeah. Aww.
He never gets to meet his son.
I have so much to say about how they disrespect Glenn's memory, like, in much later seasons.
In season
about
8,
how,
when
like,
we get there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have a lot to say about that.
Yeah. And so, like, Herschel gives Glenn, like, this pocket watch that he says it was his grandfather's. Mm-hmm. Which, like, I mean, it's not a big, like, makes me wonder, like, again, it's kind of like, it's almost like they want, like, Herschel to hate his father, and, but like, his father really to have been a monster, but it's also, like, this, like, family tradition thing. I don't know, I mean, it's certainly possible, it's just a bit like, like, okay, I mean, and, like, so, like, his father, Herschel's father, like, never sold the watch for drinking money or whatever, you know, or like took the watch and, like, swung it on the chain and, like, beat Herschel with it as a boy, or, you know, so I don't know. It's just, I feel like they kind of want to have it both ways.
Yeah,
where it's like,
there's
it's like this family tradition, but also, like, his father was, like, the devil, and it's like, okay, I don't know. Anyway, so Herschel is like, you're my boy now, Glenn. And, like, gives him the watch, and he's like, you're good enough for my daughter. And, you
Even though, so we've pretty much come to the conclusion that they've been at the farm for 6 to 8 weeks now.
Yeah, approximately.
And
I think that's reasonable.
Wow, that's very fast to just like give your blessing.
Yeah.
Of his daughter, basically, just like, you're fine, you're good.
He's like, well, I haven't observed any like, any weird behavior from you so far, so you're good, so I'm okay.
And
with
you're
that.
probably the best there's gonna be out there.
Right. It's slim pickings, so I guess you're good. You seem okay. Yeah, but no. So he's like, okay, you guys are basically like betrothed now. Go ahead.
They decide after this that they're gonna have a big talk with everyone about what they're gonna do about Randall, and Lori very specifically says to Carl to go upstairs with Jimmy.
Yeah.
So.
Who is not seen.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So he's supposed to be with Jimmy. Jimmy's supposed to be watching him. Let's just note that.
Yeah. So he's supposed to be up there. Of course he's not.
Right.
So then they're all talking about it, and Dale's just like trying to convince everybody not to execute him.
One last push.
Yeah, and they're all like, well, like if we do it, how are we gonna do it? Like, and then what are we gonna do with the body? And they're all just kind of like talking about it and like musing about it. And Dale's like, "Oh my God, you're already like talking about what you're gonna do with his body," and it's like he just because he's like, "No, I just want a discussion, and I just want like a jury decision." Want a discussion. Yeah, like, but of course, like no one else is really. Yeah, and like, cause let's see, he like tries to shame Glenn by being like, "Oh, they've got you scared, boy.
Yeah.
They've got you scared. You just don't know what you're thinking. Like, you can't make your own decisions. You just have to let old Dale make all your. Like I know what's best for you." And he's like, "But I don't." Glenn is like, basically says, "But I don't want like his gang coming by and like raping Maggie to death." Like, which was pretty sensible. He's like, "Well, I mean, Jesus Christ, like
Commercial's like, I knew I picked the right one."
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, yeah, but yeah. He's like, "Well, I don't like that sounds like a really bad idea, Dale." Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of if he tried. I mean, Andrea, who eventually.
She says, like, Dale's right.
Yeah, she's like, okay, all right, as we said earlier, I think she's basically like, it doesn't really matter, like, clearly everyone else is going to do the right thing and just execute him, so it doesn't really matter. I'll try to, like, salvage my relationship with Dale, like, by agreeing with him. It doesn't really matter.
I think that it's interesting that, like, Rick's bringing up, like, these different ways that they could kill him, and, like, they bring up hanging. But at this point, like, Rick, there's, like, this inkling of an idea that he could come back as a walker. And I guess Rick does say later, like, well, I didn't know if, like, Jenner was crazy. I didn't know if he was telling the truth or if he was right or not.
But no, it's a good, like,
then, obviously, the correct thing to do would be to shoot him in the head so that he couldn't come back as a walker.
Yeah. No, it's a good, like, Rick, I wonder if he would, because, like... And I wonder what his internal thought, because it's like, okay,
even if it's not a possibility, like, even if you don't know for sure, that's a possibility. You basically have to
shoot him in the head or stab him, like, anyway, even if they hanged him,
right?
Like, because it's like, well, I mean, like if you bury him before he reanimates, then he'll dig his way out,
right?
So, like, really, Rick must have been like, oh, right, at some point, like, I'll still probably have to do something to his brain to, like, prevent everybody else from finding out. And so I wonder if he was like, oh, okay, I guess I should just shoot him. Like, never mind about the hanging thing. Yeah. I didn't think that through. But yeah, like, let's see. So, yeah, and everybody else is pretty much just like, yeah, all right then. Like, we'll have to kill him.
Yeah, they're on board.
Yeah. And then Dale, like, fails to convince them, and so he starts making, out. Like, faces. He starts making, like, crazy faces, and, like, and, like, he's like, oh, the old world is gone, and this new world is ugly. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, like, I know you mean, like, the human part of it, but, like, yes, I mean, as like, the whole zombie thing, like...
It is ugly.
I mean, yes, like, most of humanity is gone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people are dying left and right. I mean, yeah, like, sure, I mean, I know you mean, like, the human part of it, but also, and it's like... I feel like Dale really, like, leaves out that there are many circumstances, or maybe not many, but some circumstances in the quote-unquote civilized world that he keeps referring to like, justify his actions, where it would be... Yeah, where it would be the correct... Where it's like, yeah, I mean, these are really crazy circumstances, you know? Like, yeah, there are...
Executions happened before. This isn't, like...
Yeah.
A new concept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, you know, because, like, during the, like, trials, like, you know, quasi-trial, they're like, well, I guess we could, like, you know, keep him under guard all the time, and, like, I guess we could, like, chain him up all the time, and they're just like, you know, this isn't, like, it's not gonna work. They're just like, it's, you know, he could always escape. I think Shane is like, okay, like, yes, let's say we do this, and it's fine, but then, like, it might all be an act, and, like, after a while, he just takes off.
Yeah.
And then brings his, like, rape gang back, like, I mean, you know, which is pretty sensible, because it's like, sure, I mean, we could try, but there's always the huge risk that he escapes, you know, I mean, Dale never even considers my suggestion. Like, if you're so desperate to keep him alive that you're willing to, like, basically do anything in this insane quest to spare his life, you could cut his tongue out, cut off all his fingers and toes, let's see, blind him, deafen him, and then release him, you know? So he just, like, couldn't communicate the location of the group to his gang. I'm being somewhat sarcastic, but at the same time, if you're, like, dead set on keeping him, if, like, that's, like, the, you know, if that's, like, the breaking point is, like, his life, okay, technically there are ways you could spare his life and render him completely non-threatening, you know. Anyway, but, so let's see, yeah, and then
they all decide, like, we're gonna have to execute him. And Dale just stomps off, throwing a fit.
You know, he throws a tantrum and storms off,
And so, Rick and Shane are out. I can't remember.
I think it's Rick, Shane, and Daryl.
Okay, so
they're... like, maybe... I can't remember if Glenn was there or not, I think it's those three.
But they're out in, like, the slaughter shed, and...
I think it was the barn, but yes.
Okay.
Ironically, it's not the slaughter shed, like, where they're gonna slaughter him.
You're right, it is
Which is kind of weird. Like, why are they doing it? Because they're not gonna hang him, they're just gonna shoot him. So, like, why did you guys even go to the barn? Other than it makes it easier for Carl to walk in.
Right, and that's what happened. Yeah. So they're, like, Randall's, like, crying, like, no, please don't, and...
They put the world's thinnest blindfold on
Oh my god, it's like an inch.
It's like a thong, it's like this tiny blindfold.
You can totally see around it.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, do you want to stand or you want to kneel? And he's like, no, and Shane pulls him down to make him kneel,
yeah.
And Rick's like, do you have any last words? And he has the gun up to his head, and Carl, because no one's watching him, he just like, walks in, he's like, do it, Dad, do it, Dad. And of course Rick is like, oh, I can't do it anymore, like,
and it's and it's like, take him away, and then they like put him back in the slaughter shed, I guess. And okay, so I just because then Rick goes, after they get him back, and Rick goes over to the group, and to Lori, he's like, because he says, like, I guess we're gonna spare him, and then to Lori,
he's gonna stay in our custody.
He's like, Carl, like, was watching, he wanted to watch, and it's like, okay, so you guys all agreed that it was the right thing to do to execute him, right? But, because your kid walks in, Rick, which is your fault, like, that'd be like...
Jimmy's fault.
Yeah, that'd be like, okay, like, at Ted Bundy's execution, okay, right? Like, some kid, like the executioner's kid, just, like, wanders into the viewing chamber, and then it's like, oh, we can't execute Ted Bundy now. It's like, what the hell? That does not make sense on any level. That's completely insane. Like, you decided that he needed to die. Okay?
For a reason.
Yeah, for, like, many reasons.
Yeah.
You can't, like, that is like so selfish and so self-righteous and so stupid and so hypocritical and so reckless and just so like profoundly dumb on every single possible level that there's just absolutely no justifying that. I find it offensive that that Rick thinks that he can do that, like thinks that that's like at all justified. It's just not acceptable.
He's just so wishy-washy when it comes to Carl specifically.
Like, oh, here's a crazy idea. Take Carl away and then do it.
And then, yeah.
I mean, oh no, and it's like, I think it's like foreshadowing, like, oh, Carl's becoming a killer, you know,
yes.
like later, how, like, with the pigs and stuff, how he's like, oh, I gotta cure him of this madness and blah, blah, you know, like, I think it's foreshadowing that, like, that doesn't justify it, like, again, Ted Bundy, are you just gonna, like, commute his death sentence because, like, some kid walked in and was like, sure, I'll watch this?
Yeah.
Like, because he thought Ted Bundy deserved to die? Like, no, that's insane.
It's not like Carl came in and was like, please, Dad, don't do it. Like, he was for it. He was telling him to do it.
Yeah, and it's just... Like, and it doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change the circumstances at all.
Like, all the practical, pragmatic reasons that they had to kill Randall still apply.
Right.
There's no, like, nothing's changed. And so, like, it's like, wow, Rick, you just have, like, no conviction. You're just, yeah, like, again, like, how he's, like, could, like, a prisoner in his custody in the old world, like, have just been like, I'm sorry, Mr. Sheriff, can I please go buy some cigarettes from the corner store? Will you release me from the jail? I promise I'll come back. Like, I mean, like, how easy would it have been to, like, or, like, if, like, the prisoner's, like, kid was like, please, like, let my daddy come home for Christmas. Or, like, would he just been like, okay then. I mean, it's not really my decision to make, but I'm sure, whatever. Right. I'm just gonna do whatever, like, strikes me at the moment is, like, the, you know, the emotionally based right thing to do. Anyway, but...
So...
After his tantrum...
Right. Dale's out walking and, like...
Like, he's like...
right.
Like, in the
throwing
field.
A fit in the field.
Which, I mean, is kind of dangerous. I mean,
it's
I know they're... And, like, oh, no, that's the next episode. Like, I know there haven't been very many walkers, if any, like, just wandering around, other than, like, the ones that got stuck in the mud. But, like, it's still not a great idea, you know?
All alone at night, away from others. And he hears this mooing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets closer, and it's a cow who is on the ground, dying, half-eaten. Its guts are, like, spilling out.
It's a very unconvinced... Like, when it lifts its head up...
Oh, my...
it's totally like, oh, dear.
Like, it's
like,
totally just a robot.
Yeah, or, like, possibly just, like, a hand, like...
Yeah,
like,
you're
lifting
right.
No, but it's like, yeah, that's not...
Super
I don't
unconvincing.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my God... And there's apparently the walker that was eating the cow that just ate half of it and then gave up and was walking away but stayed in the area, which doesn't make sense.
Not really, because it's like, I mean, it's not like super consistent how much walkers want to eat of like a non-reanimating human corpse or like an animal.
We do see in the next season, apparently a walker like eats an entire human being. Yes. And
supposedly
is like unable to move because like
it'll just gorge itself until it's unable to move. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So with that logic that we see later, this walker should have kept eating the cow until it's exploded.
Unable to. Yeah.
But it doesn't, and it stays in the vicinity. And it sees Daryl, and so
that's okay.
Dale, and it sneaks up behind him.
Yeah, it's
a very stealthy, very
like this is a crafty ass walker because it was apparently just hanging around. Mm-hmm. Like Dale didn't the moon was out, and it's like you'd think
it's an open field.
You know, you'd think he would have seen it, so it must have kind of been around, come around behind him, and been silent until it pounced on him. Yeah,
and it pounced on him And
this is a strong walker.
This has strong.
Yeah, this is like a superhumanly strong walker. It like so it grabs Dale. It like pins him. Dale's able to like keep it from biting him. He's able to like keep its face away from his.
But it rips open his stomach.
It like tears through his abdominal wall. Like very
the
easily.
Cow. It looks like the cow.
Yeah, like it just digs into Dale and like
all
rips
of his
him
guts
open.
Are just spilling out.
Which is really strong.
Yeah,
like for a human being, that's
strong.
really strong. I mean, and for a walker, that's incredibly strong. Like, wow, okay, this one, there's something special about this.
Yeah, and so he's yelling, obviously, and everyone back at camp hears, and they're running trying to find where he is, and they're like, oh, is he over there? He's over here, and I think Dale finds him. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's okay, Daryl.
Daryl. I think Daryl finds him. And so they all run over, and they like get the walker off of him, and they smash its head in, and it breathes. Yeah,
then when we like after it's supposed to have been put down, we like kind of see like its like abdomen.
Like inhale
in the shot,
a little bit,
and it's moving up and down a little bit. Like its belly is definitely moving a little bit.
And so they're all like looking at Daryl, and Rick gets like weirdly. Dale.
Oh no, it's okay. He's almost dead. We won't have to like think about their similarities anymore.
Rick gets like weirdly intimate with him and is like petting the side of his face. He's like, "It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." Yeah. Herschel. And of course, like Andrea gets on the ground and she's trying to comfort him, but that's a little more understandable than Rick doing it.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What can we do, Herschel?
Yeah, and
what
he's
can
like,
we do?"
Nothing. Like
nothing.
This is like, yeah. I mean, this is fatal. Like, there's nothing I can do.
There's been too much blood loss. His organs are literally just like split open.
Yeah, we can't put his abdomen back together. Like maybe if we were in a hospital or something, but like we can't do anything. We can't do anything right now. Yeah.
And Carl's like crying over on the side
because he like recognizes that it's the walker that he failed to kill and kind of let loose a little bit. Yeah, so he's like, "Oh my god!" and Laurie's like hugging him. And he's seeking safety in her belly.
Yeah. and and Andrew's like, he's in pain, and
like, really, yeah,
right.
Wow, yeah, I think so, probably.
So Rick is going to shoot him to like put him out of his misery. But he can't do it.
Yeah,
and he stands there for like a whole like 30 seconds just looking at him with his gun.
Dale's like, oh!
Right. Dale is, oh my gosh, obviously in so much agony. And Daryl ends up having to do it. But even Daryl like takes a few seconds.
He does. And he's like, sorry, brother.
Right.
Yeah. But no, but they take like 2 minutes
of
extra time to like euthanize Dale. And it's like, jeez, I mean.
Do you know how much pain you just put him through?
I know it's difficult for you guys.
He even lifted up his head and put it to the gun.
You're right, he did,
because he just wanted it to be over.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, how can you just watch your friend be in that much agony and know, like, if you know there's nothing you could do, just put him out of his misery.
I think Daryl probably, I mean, not that he knew, like, the Rick wouldn't be able to do it, but he probably should have just been like, I'll do it, like, you know, because he knew that he could, like, he probably should have just been like, look, I'm going to do this right now, because
he probably should
he's like, you know, he's like silently like screaming in agony here, like, this is a little ridiculous. Like, yeah.
So you had read about the actor, Dale's actor.
Yeah, apparently the actor who was like a favorite of the like series creator, who did like The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile and some other movies, The Mist, where he like The Mist is a good one that has a lot of the actors who would appear on The Walking Dead in it. So like that actor like was like very close to the original creator, and so when they got rid of the original series developer like halfway through season 2, essentially, I mean, they like made the decision to get rid of him before that, but like he had kind of like done a lot of work going up to like the middle of season 2. And so this actor, Dale's actor, he basically decided to quit in protest of that decision, and so he requested that they kill the character off, which I think is interesting. I would like to know, like, if he hadn't made that request, how long Dale would have been on the show. Because, like, in the comics, he was there for a long time. Yeah. He was there up until, like, the equivalent of, like, season 5 of the TV show. Like, he was there through the prison and all of that. And he had a peg leg. And him and Andrea were lovers.
He basically becomes Herschel.
Yeah, they basically did they did what happened to, because he was bitten and they had to amputate his leg.
Interesting.
So, it was exactly what happened to Herschel in the prison. And Herschel, like, kind of is just, like, the old man from this point.
Dale.
Exactly.
Not the new
Daryl. That'd be so weird. He'd be like, I hunt squirrels and I hunt owls. And owl didn't hit the spot. Oh no, he would have seduced Beth.
Oh my god.
Oh no, it's okay. God. I mean, that's getting ahead of ourselves, but that's a disturbing disaster one. Yeah. But so the actor requested to be killed off.
So this is how they did it.
Yeah, and so then, like, according to the Walking Dead wiki, which, I mean, it doesn't cite any sources, so, like, this may not be true, but it says in multiple places that the actor who plays Dale, like, changed his mind after they filmed the scene where he's torn open and then killed. He changed his mind and requested that they, like, refilm, I guess, just the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. Like, do away with that scene and basically have his character live. But the producers were like, whatever, like, we don't, it sounds like a lot of trouble. Maybe they just wanted to get rid of him because he kind of made a stink. Maybe they're just like,
maybe they were just tired of the character.
Maybe they were like, this is like a good, like, have like a main character death, like, at this point, and like that's a good, like, dramatic thing to do. We don't really care to change it. But anyway, so they just decided not to and kept the death, which I think is interesting. I didn't know that. I did read before that he, like, requested to be killed off, but I didn't, supposedly he kind of changed his mind, which was interesting, I think. So, let's see. That is pretty much the end of the episode. Daryl euthanizes Dale, and that's the end of perhaps my most hated... No, I don't know. I think he might be my most hated character. Dale, I hate him.